There's patterns to the bell pits, either. Chain links from chain coral's infinite coda. Traverse their cusps. Breathe slow. Take quiet steps. In this, you'll spy the slow breaths and quiet steps of strange patterns.
Geopoetics is the expression of the earth. It's a philosophy and way of being that puts the planet, its building materials and the forces that create them at the centre of perception. My name is R.M. Francis, and in 2020 I became the poet in residence for the Black Country Geological Society. And since then I've been fascinated by the ways that creative writing can help us rethink our connections with the landscapes that shape us. We understand the world through language. We understand our sense of place in similar ways. I'm keen to explore how this might mirror scientific methods of measuring and defining.
If you know where to look, it ain't just a woodland. It's a gateway where things stretch out and loop, ain't it? Loops and fractals in honeycomb revenants. Chain coral's infinite coda. Geopoetics is different from eco-poetry and other forms of nature or travel writing. It doesn't merely convey or describe the landscape or engage with the ecology of the environment. It seeks to fill the work with the charge of the earth. From the smallest of cells to the largest mountains, from the split second of a bird's wing to the slow stretches of stratigraphic time, the geopoet is primed to pick out these patterns.
Slink with me down this tarmacked path between two schools to trip-trap over a gruff bridge, climb the grassy bank past a managed pond where once the heron and I mourned the loss of mangrove murkiness. I'll point out the steel barring the route I used to walk, tell how that way skirts a crater where men once quarried narrow twists of gravel. My name's Emma Purshouse. I was Poet Laureate for the City of Wolverhampton from 2020 to 2022. And during my tenure, Rob invited me to get involved with one of his geological projects. And I was very drawn to the idea of geopoetics because it enabled me to explore much more deeply some of the landscapes and places that I was already writing about. I'm really fascinated by those spaces in post-industrial landscapes where the kind of urban and rural meet in little pockets of green. I suppose you'd call them liminal spaces. To me, they're the spaces where you can stand and sort of feel the history, the now, and possibly even slightly the future.
The term geopoetics was coined by geologist Harry Hess in the context of his observations of plate tectonics.
Hess was interested in how different materials and different forces collaborate to shape the landscape.
He argues that a certain level of imagination is required to make sense of the landscape. Much in earth sciences cannot be fully or safely proven, only tested. And so the geologist produces theory which conforms to what can be seen without contradicting the few existing facts we have. Perhaps now more than ever, meaning is seen to be the reserve of measurable and material logic. When we face wonderment and mystery, it becomes a crisis of meaning.
As many an earth scientist has quipped over the years, when the data runs out, geologists turn to poetry.
At Wittick, I'll show you the valley at its most obvious, how the only way is up on both sides of the Bridge North Road. I'll tell of how one winter night I left the Mermaid at last orders to hear snow melt and glaciers in the Smestow's rush.
For me, the Black Country is the perfect place to be a geopoet. It's a post-industrial region. The landscape is a strange mix of green space and grey space. It's no surprise to me that's home to a thriving community of writers inspired by its heritage.
I think it's easy to forget that this place wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Industrial Revolution that kind of caused this green corridor.
Yeah, it's a whole tribe, I suppose, of creatives over the last 20, maybe 30 years that have continuously exploiting this landscape and the sort of pride of place, but also the peculiar sense of place that we have here.
You mine it, don't you? You mine it for your work the same way as people would have mined it for coal, limestone back then.
And of course, the other thing about this Black Country spirit of place or sense of place is none of it would have been possible without the coal seam, the limestone, the fire clay, the fossil-rich grounds that brought people to the area in the first place. The UNESCO Black Country Geopark is a sequence of over 40 sites of geological heritage across Wolverhampton, Walsall, Dudley and Sandwell.
You might be surprised at how close you are to deep time, to fossils and landscapes that shaped who we are.
What I want to do now is see how geopoetics can help other creative people write about the landscapes that inspire them. Can we create a body of work that uses all of the senses to think about deep time in places that are truly special to us? In a time of uncertainty, perhaps poetry is precisely what we need to consider the ways that the human and the more than human connect and collaborate.
Find out more about geopoetics at the University of Wolverhampton.